going on, everybody? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Paul Goneau. Today, my guest is father, dancer, podcaster, comedian, Barry 3D Carter.
What?
Hell yeah, man. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me on.
All the way from, where'd you come from?
Hamilton, man.
Hamilton. How you like living in Hamilton?
And you know what? I like it because so I moved from Montreal, right? And when I first came down here, so I've been only in Ontario for just over 10 years. And when we first moved out, we're out in Kitchener. And Kitchener was cool. It had a comedy scene. Then we moved to Milton, and there was no comedy scene in Milton.
Yeah.
So now being in Hamilton...
Not a lot of anything really in Milton, but it's developing. You know?
It's super nice to live in. But I said, comedy-wise, there's only a couple of spots that were going out there like every so often. Mm-hmm. But now being in Hamilton, you know what? I actually love being in a Hammer. It reminds me a lot of Montreal.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm doing a show up there on the 25th, I believe, at the Zoetic Theater.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice place.
So I'm pretty excited. Pretty excited about that.
Nice place. I'll come by because that's only like maybe a 7-minute drive from my house. That's why I love Hamilton.
Quinn's there. There's probably some other people that you might recognize, but I really only know Quinn and the guy who's putting it together. It's like he's retiring.
Oh, wait, is that Kevin Scott Spencer?
Yeah. I just
know
had him
him
on the last episode, and he was kind of like promoting that a bit.
Right.
And so I'm pretty excited. I don't really know what to expect, but
Hamilton crowds are fun.
People, it's funny because like, you know, people in Toronto talk shit about Hamilton, and people in Hamilton, you know, talk shit about Toronto. Well, I feel like most of Canada generally talks shit about Toronto, actually. Even in, like, BC and shit.
Absolutely.
You know, like, I haven't lived everywhere, but I've been, like, Winnipeg. I've been to different areas, and none of them really think highly of, you know, Toronto.
Well, you know, I mean, coming from Montreal, and that was a running joke, was Toronto was the Canadian city that wants to be American. That's the feel of it, you know. And then of course when people see you coming in with Quebec license plates, they're like, "You don't know how to drive," and then they're like, "Oh, you don't know how to drive," and that's where the whole beef starts, right? And I always used to settle that really easy. I go, you know, back in Quebec, you can do 140 kilometers, and all you get is a ticket. That would be it, you know. And now here in Toronto, you do 140 kilometers. Oh, you're getting a ticket, reckless driving, all that. So it's just to show you that it was more strict here in Toronto than Quebec. Quebec, you don't have to listen to the radio to hear where all the accidents happen in the morning while driving into work. Mm-hmm. Toronto, every morning, accident on the 401 by this exit, by that exit, by this exit. I'm like, that just shows you.
Dude, literally, like, down the street, like, I mean... less than a 5-minute drive down Mavis.
Yeah.
Just as like the highway overpass, like on the I don't know what highway it is. Fucking but like there was 2 accidents like last week. Same spot, different sides of like, you know, the barricade.
My gosh.
Bro, it was hilarious. Oh my god. So like I definitely can I don't drive.
Right.
But hopefully by the end of next year. That's the plan cuz the baby's coming.
Yeah.
So
congrats.
I need a car. Oh, man, thank you. And actually, today, we just found out it's going to be a girl. So, and you know, like, immediately terrified, you know? and like, I obviously, the end plan was, like, in my mind, it's boy, girl, done. But, you know, obviously, you know, things might not happen that way or whatever, but...
flipped upside down.
Yeah, it's a little scary. And it's funny because... Okay, so we're getting the ultrasound, and this is my first time hearing the baby's heartbeat, right?
Okay.
And so it was a big thing, and it wasn't like you know, one of those government clinics. Like we actually, because she's only 16 weeks, she just started her 16th week. When this comes out, it'll be 17.
Okay, gotcha.
And so. Like most clinics that, you know, are funded by the government, they don't want to do gender reveal or whatever until like, I guess 19 weeks or something, 20 weeks.
Yeah.
But like you can see before then, right? Like they have like 3D, they have 5D, like whatever the fuck that is.
3D!
And and so yeah, we're there, we're hearing the heartbeat at first. And I am getting emotional. I didn't think it would be this way, but like I started crying, you know. And
this is your first child, right?
Yes, my first. Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Yeah.
And Well, I would say 90% sure it's my first. And so she's just like a stone, dude. And she looks over at me and is like, "Are you crying?" It's kind of like I like the nurse, like, this guy's fucking crying, you know? And then, so, we see, that it doesn't have a penis. We find out it's going to be a girl. And then we go out, right. And the gentleman at the desk's like, "So, how was the ultrasound?" And, like, first thing out of her mouth, this guy cried. She didn't cry. Like, I know she's super excited and that it was, like, she started holding my hand when she found out it was a girl. But, like, right. Just a stone the whole time, dude.
Oh, jeez. See, so you see, and you could probably tapped into a primal emotion of saying, "Oh God, I'm having a girl. I know what boys think." No.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this, right? I've got a girl at home, and she's 18 now, but from the jump, I know what it's like. Here's how it comes down in blocks. So be ready for this in the years. Mm-hmm. From like age 0 to like age 14. She gonna be daddy's little girl. She gonna love daddy no matter what. But once those teenage years hit in, it's like, "Oh, dad, stop bugging me. Dad, you're being a pain in the butt." And then it's gonna shift. But then after, when she hits, that's gap. So let's say from the teenage years to whatever, she don't want nothing to do with daddy. But then at one point, when she gets a little bit older, so when you're hitting that 18 age group on, she want to come right back to daddy again. It's the expression, right? Daddy's girl, mama's boy. She gonna be on you 24/7 when she sees you. So milk it for all it's worth.
Oh, I'm excited, man. And obviously, like, there was a small part of me that wanted the boy first.
Yeah.
But, like, man, I
hear you.
Like I said, it was a really emotional thing for me, and I didn't think, like, I was expecting something.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect it to be the way it was, and, yeah, man, I'm super excited.
No, and trust me, like, I mean, at first when I had a girl, I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to relate with a girl? And let me tell you something. My girl is all into comic books and anime and like hardcore. Like she's more me than I'm me. You understand that? And I'm thinking, okay, this child is okay. There's no question about it who the father is in that one. That's my girl right there. She went up for one Halloween dressed as Punchline. The Halloween before, she went as Harley Quinn. So I'm kind of scared to see the guy she brings home that she wants to date. Some emo
version of Harley Quinn.
Oh shoot! No. She came in classic Harley Quinn. She went out as classic Harley Quinn.
All right.
Not the Robbie, Margot Robbie. Even though she likes that one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I don't mind it.
No.
I definitely like the jester looking red and black kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm more scared of the guy she's gonna bring in because I'm expecting some emo guy walking in with green hair having his foot on my couch, and that ain't gonna go well.
How old is she now?
She's 18.
18?
Yeah.
I apologize if you already said that, but
no, it's all good, man.
No, man, that's freaking that's awesome, and I appreciate the advice.
Yeah. Enjoy.
It's very, like, I jokingly said to my girlfriend when we got home, like, "Oh man, I hope she's a lesbian." Because the most terrifying part is dudes. Like, nothing will really like, and I'm not saying I'm like super like feminist dude, but like obviously I'm aware of how society is.
Yeah.
And I feel like the guys that are like anti-feminist, I feel like having a daughter would just completely
wreck them.
Yeah, it's like what do you mean? How do you feel right now when you find like? Because it's a little scary,
Yeah, that's the first thing.
And it's scary. There's different fears I had for some reason with the boy. I don't know if this is common or if it's just like subconscious sexism that has been like, just ingrained in me throughout the years. But like, I was more worried about like my son being like Jeffrey Dahmer. And now I'm like, I'm having a daughter. I'm worried about dicks. Just dicks.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively. Like, just...
Yeah. I do. My stand-up, I talk about her dating. I do a whole thing on stand-up about birth control, having her first period, from a father's point of view. So I go through all that. And, my biggest fear, as I'm always saying in one of my jokes, is I answer her phone, I swipe it, and all I see is a penis jump right out at me. And I'm hunting people down in the suburbs with a baseball bat. So, yeah, that's the first, as your boy, you're like, please don't do anything stupid. Please don't do anything stupid. As a girl, oh God, I got to defend you from all the penises out there in the world.
Yeah.
And you know, going through dating the bad boy phase. So I talk about that very openly on stage, but it's true. It is a fear, right? You see, she's your little princess. You know, when you see your boy, you're like, okay, no problem. You see your girl, you're like, I gotta be the cocoon around my child to keep all the evil away.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta start now.
Yeah.
She's not even alive. I'm like, how can I start now?
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, she's going to kindergarten, some guy comes up and like, hey, you want my ice cream? It's like, I'll knock you out. It's like, honey, he's only 2. It's like,
I'm watching a show called Workin' Moms. And it's a Canadian show based out of Toronto. You know it?
I know of the show. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Okay, it's actually quite... Okay, to be fair, I'm only 3 seasons deep, and there's 6.
Right.
So far, it's been pretty fucking great. And one of the moms is, like, kind of teaching her daughter that right now. When just, like, kick him in the dick. And they have this, like, in the dick dance.
Right.
And then one day, this, like a pizza guy comes to the door. Like, legit, though. But she doesn't know, right?
Oh, shoot.
And he's like, yeah, like, is your mommy around? And blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't, right? And the girl got scared, kicked him in the dick. The mom comes home, and they, like, party it out. They're like, yeah, hell yeah, you did what you were supposed to. And this guy's like, what's wrong with you guys? But, like, totally.
But
you know
this
what
day
I mean?
and age, man.
Yeah, man.
Things have gotten crazy. I mean, you know, as I said, between being out there, schools, and it's just society. I don't know if it's gotten crazier or it's more of a light has been shone on these things due to social media. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, when I was growing up, we didn't have social media, right, to that aspect. And I wouldn't hear what was going on in the States in certain, you know, cities in the States. Now, I open Instagram, this happened in the States, or this happened in this part in Canada, this happened down your street. You wouldn't have that connectivity, right? So it just makes it kind of like, what the hell's going on? Makes it kind of nervous. I've been there, I've been through it. You know, just be aware, and it's okay. And as I said, slow down and enjoy the days. The days when you're half in the bag and you're tired and from doing whatever, and she's like, Dad, I want to play. Don't say later. Just say, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because when you get older, you're going to look at those moments and say, oh man, the time I said later didn't come, and I missed that moment. You can't recapture that moment.
Yeah.
So even when you're dog tired, just say, okay. Mm-hmm. Enjoy when she looks at you and you are her world. When she gets a teenager, she ain't going to want to do nothing with you, right? But we went through that with our parents.
Yeah.
My dad was cool. I hit a certain age, I don't want to be around my parents. And then after you get a certain age, you're like, hey, you guys are kind of cool. You know, so just ride the wave, man.
Has she seen you perform?
Yes, she has. That was funny.
And?
She loved it.
Yeah? Good.
She loved it. She was so excited to come because she always wanted to see me perform. And she just turned 18 this past June. So I did a show out in Burlington, and she came with her friends and her boyfriend, and they sat front row and center.
Oh, shit.
And I get nervous when I perform. Anytime I can on a show, I'm always a little bit got the nerves going on.
Yeah.
But this particular show, she's right there front and center as I'm performing. And it threw me off a little bit. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because I know my material. And it's not to say because it's dirty or anything like that. It was just, I know that in my act, I talk about her.
Yeah. I know the dick pic joke.
Right.
Yeah.
And she knows it. She's heard me say it at the house practice it, and she was cool with me. And I'm like, you good with this? She's like, Daddy, that's funny. Go with it. Yeah. So she's really a supporter on that. But when she's right there and I got the bright eye, bushy tail, just looking like, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I'm still going. So at first I kind of stumbled a little bit, and then I got into my rhythm. And even like her boyfriend sitting there, and I'm doing a whole joke about, you know, her dating and boyfriends, and her boyfriend is right there.
Yeah.
And he's a good kid, but he's kind of, and I'm going with a joke like, sorry, dude.
Yeah. You guys sat there, you know.
Yeah, well,
you take a risk when you sit front row, people, you know.
Right. Well, you know, and I don't attack the audience. I never have. But having your daughter there front row and center, and she is part of the stories that I tell on stage. You know, my wife, you know, I mean, my wife's a grown woman, and my daughter, but it was the first time she see me perform. The next time, it'll be a lot easier, you know, on me. I had a harder time than she did. Let's just put it that way. She was all excited for it, and she was like, woo! You know, and then I was even to have like jokes on her about her. She's even said, Dad, you can make fun of me. I'm like, what? No, Dad, you can make fun of me.
Yeah,
No
like,
subjects
like
off. Yeah.
She wanted you to make fun of her.
She wanted me to make fun of her. And I'm like, really? And I talked about jokes about TikTok and her, and she was eating it up and loving it. And all her friends were there and like, he's making fun of you. She's like, I know, it's great. Okay. That's my wingman, man. That's my second person right there. It's my mini me. So yeah, it was cool though. I enjoyed it. And so does she, and she definitely wants to come back. So that's a cool thing that I'm able to do what I do with comedy, and she's a supporter of what I do on stage.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, clearly she sees it at the house. She sees that I'll have a look in my eye when something happens, and she's like, "Oh no, you're gonna talk about this on stage," and I'm like, but I spin it in such a way that I don't make her the butt of the joke, so it never makes her look bad. I never want to. That's the comedian I am, and that's a self-conscious thing. I mean, I see other comics go up there and they'll make fun of their wives, their girlfriends, their family members, and then leave it at that. And that's cool for them. But for myself, I don't make my family the butt of the joke. I make myself the butt of the joke. So there's multiple jokes where there's one she's trying to explain to me about Zoom and TikTok and all that, and I'm the one that keeps misinterpreting it all the time. So I look like the idiot that's not understanding anything. So anyone watching it's like, man, this guy doesn't get it. But I just don't have the heart to go and make my family members that, the punchline. I have no problem being the punchline myself. I mean,
yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, so it keeps the peace at home. This is why no one ever lynch mobs me. I never have I do a joke and my wife like, I didn't like that joke, right? She always say she might not like a joke because it didn't hit the way it should hit in her mind, or she thinks I can do better, not because I made her look a certain way. So, life lessons.
My lady, like earlier, like a couple hours ago, we only did the thing maybe a few hours before you showed up.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so, just like, what if she doesn't think you're funny? Like, said that to me. And like, that's a real fear too. Like, I'm hoping to get to a point where, I can have what you're talking about. Yeah. And they can come and, I don't know. Yeah. I hope. Well, how did you get into comedy in the first place? Like, when did that start?
I've always been a fan of comedy, so I have like two big passions that I always wanted to pursue, and one was dancing in music, and I love dancing, but comedy to me always spoke to me. Like, to see one person get on stage and perform, and then watch, be it if it's 50 people, 500 people, 50,000 people, and just make them laugh, take them away from what was ever happening in their daily lives, and make them feel good for that moment. I said, that's what I want to do. I know some people have that calling to be a doctor to cure the world. Some people want to, and I just want to spread good vibes. That's all it is.
Yeah, man.
And that's what got me into comedy. So, I mean, growing up, in my household, both my parents are from Barbados, so Bayesian descent, and my dad was always the life of the party. He would get up there, and if anyone was around my dad, he was the life of the party. And saw like the good times, how people talked to him, how they reacted to him. And then watching comedians when I was younger, I was always drawn to comedy. I liked the comedy aspect. Life is, as I always say, it's too short. But I mean, that's what really drew me to it. It was just the laughter. Everyone, no matter what your background is, what you believe, whatever it is, everyone loves to laugh. Laugh takes away the stress, takes away the bad moments. Sometimes it gets you through moments, and it could be something silly or goofy to something really thought-provoking. So that when I was young, I saw Richard Pryor, not like live, I'm talking like, but on TV.
Yeah.
My dad would be flipping the TV, and Richard Pryor had his own variety show. So I used to watch a lot of, Richard Pryor, and then the Osmonds had their variety show, the Jacksons had their variety show, Sonny and Cher had a variety show, the Laughing. So I would see a lot of that humor, and I found it funny, and I'm like, I would love to do that. I would love to be on stage, just going and spreading good vibes around the people. And it just called to me. So when I was younger, I followed that to a certain degree. When I was in high school, I always wanted to do comedy. And we had they call it the Follies back at Centennial when I was living in Montreal. And they turned around. And so it's our school talent show. Okay. And in our auditorium, it held over 700 students. So as a talent show, people will go up there as students and you perform during the talent show, and it'd be music, anything you wanted to do. It was open. It was kind of headed by the drama department, that teacher. They would do one a year. And it would have multiple shows throughout the night as a school activity, which I thought was really fun. And a lot of my friends are saying, man, you're always cracking jokes. Why, you talk about comedy all the time. Why don't you get up there and do some stand-up comedy? And I'm like, I don't know if people would listen. I mean, I'm funny among my friends because they know if I mention something where the backstory is.
Right.
But then being a fan of comedy and seeing how it is, I'm like, I can give that a shot. So I wrote a 7-minute piece, and this is like when I was 16, like just 16. Wrote a 7-minute piece about being a first-time driver. Getting my license for the first time, and it was all true because that's what I got my license and being a. So I wrote it. I remember going out to the teacher saying, "Okay, I want to audition for it," and it was me and one other guy that did it. They were only doing stand-up comedy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a 2-hour show. I had 7 minutes, so I went up there and I did it. And I remember my drama teacher going, "Yeah, Barry, I don't get it," right? Because I did a whole thing talking about getting your license, leaving the house the first time with your parents' car when you're backing up, and then how your parents are watching you, how my brother was acting, how I drove away from, down the house, and then of course trying to be cool, being in Canada. I'm driving away from the house, I get down the street, and as soon as I'm down the street, I take off, my shirt, because I had a t-shirt underneath, I take off my jogging pants, because I had shorts underneath, and I actually did this while on stage. And I had a Hawaiian shirt, Bermuda shorts, and I'm driving by, pick up my buddy, and I'm driving by, seeing all the rest of my friends at a bus stop, and and it's like, "Hey man, how you doing? Cold?" And we got the windows down with the heat blaring because I'm just showing off because, at 16, you can't get into a club at 16, but I'm driving at 16, so I got to make sure. So that was my journey with that. And the teacher didn't understand it. He's like, "Oh, Barry," he goes, "I don't really get it." But then another student was doing this whole thing about hearing this haunted heart, and my teacher got into his humor. So I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. Right? So he goes, "Okay, Barry, what we're going to do is during the show, we're going to split it up in 2. Right? There's always intermission because it's a 2-hour show. So as a comedian, we're going to put you in the first half, and then you're going to kind of warm up the audience for the other guy who's going to do it in the second half. Right? For my buddy Peter." So I'm like, sure, whatever. I'm not egotistical. So when the first show we did 4 shows. So we do one during the day as kind of a true run through for anyone that was in grade 7 and 8, right? So they come during school hours, they get to see the show. And a lot of the students heard I was doing this comedy, so they did my spot. They died. When my boy Peter got on stage, it was almost like crickets.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What's up, Peter?
Where's
Peter now?
Oh, Peter's still, I'm not sure he's in the States or in Montreal. He's not
stand up?
No, he's not doing stand up. No. He's got like an engineering job or whatever. Peter was smart as hell. Peter, Peter, you know who you are. I ain't gonna call you out that way, but Peter, he is funny. Don't worry, he is funny.
Yeah.
But he's more, and it's no disrespect. I mean, he's got a great job now. Peter's more funny amongst friends, kind of goofy kind of funny. And if he would developed it, he would have definitely gone in stand-up, but he just kind of said, so I did it. I had a great reaction from the crowd, right? Drama teacher was leading, he goes, "I don't get it," So now we had a show that night, and then when this grade 7s and 8s were coming out, a lot of the people in my grade were coming by saying, "Hey, was Barry on? Yeah. How was he? Oh my God, he was so funny." Okay, so a whole bunch of my friends came, and remember, now this auditorium holds 700 people. So now people from our school are there. Their parents are there. People from other schools are there because everyone knows everyone at one point. I was Mr. Social Butterfly.
Yeah.
Went out again and did that show the Friday night. And, my parents were there at that show. And it was hilarious because at one point I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I'm giving away what happens when I drive away my dad's car. He ain't giving me the car tonight. And I had the whole place in an uproar. Like, straight out applause breaks and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then by the next night, the teacher turned around and goes, "You know what, Barry? We're going to swap you and put you in the second half." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And Peter's like, "Yeah, no problem. I get it." And then people came back. And people were sitting in the aisles because there was no more seats. Because the seats were all sold out for the Saturday show. So that was really my first foray into it. And I'm like, I really can do this. And I kind of put it on the back burner because I was really trying to do a lot more with dancing and hip hop and doing shows, music videos and all that. And I said, oh, it's something I'll get back to, because when the needs can't keep up anymore, I'll have this in my back pocket that I'll go through and approach seriously. So that was my main thought process at the time. So yeah.
So when did you start dancing? And why do you still, like, are you still doing that, or is it that back burner right now, or are you just like...
Well, okay, so...
What are you doing with that?
So I started dancing when I was in elementary school. I always loved music. That was another thing. Music was always playing in our house. And, you know, on Sundays, my dad would be blaring music. It doesn't matter if it was Calypso, Top 40. You know, he would put on, like, hip-hop at the time. My dad would listen to anything, and my mom, too. You know, so I came up with music blaring in the house all the times. So I used to dance a lot, like at school parties and everything. And then, of course, the breakdancing era arrived. Like, it just came out of, I wouldn't say it came out of nowhere, but it finally hit, like, Canada and all that culture. And once again, I was like, yo, that is so cool. I love the music. I like what they're doing. So I'm older than everyone thinks I am. So that's fine, you know. And I just really called to me. So I'm a Gemini, so I always got multiple interests. So I went right away into dancing. So I think I was doing a lot of like local shows or dancing, and we had like, I got a dance troupe. We were doing choreographies here and there. And then I'm also competitive. Back then I was extremely competitive. That I wanted to be the best dancer within Montreal. So I started off on the suburbs where I lived, the South Shore. Then it went into Montreal, and I was doing competitions there. And then we got in really good with some good acts. Within the French community, English community, and then there's a couple of videos you'll actually see me in, music videos that I'm in. I put together choreographies for some people there back then. So I've shown up in random spots, but I'm doing a lot of live shows. But this is before, you know, So You Think You Can Dance and all these dance shows, and right? So I was in my prime, and I was really, you would mention my name within Montreal, you would know me. People say, Barry the Dancer? Oh, we know what you're talking about. He's at this club, he's at that club, he's performed here, he's on this video, he's, you know. So it was a small knit community, it was really more underground, but I like that feeling that it was just unknown and being at the forefront of something brand new. And just the rhythm, the music. So, you know, I started off with, like, you know, hip hop, but I mean, I got into house. I've always been into pop music. I've been into calypso and reggae, and, you know, and even rock. I you know, growing up, I mean, one of my favorite shows I used to watch, even though it makes no sense, was Kiss Meets the Phantom. I was all into it, man. So yeah, that's what really started my music journey. So in high school, that you know, that was the it thing at the time, but I tried to take it even further than that. And then I hit a crossroads where it's either I stay with dancing and I go and open a dance studio and kind of keep going that way, but I like performing too much instead of being a teacher. So I'm like, no, I'd rather go the other way. Mm-hmm. And up to now, I do it now, but more for fun. I'll just get up in a club and I'll dance. I mean, if the music's on, I'll just do my own thing. Mm-hmm. That's how I de-stress. That's how I have a good time. You know, I've got called for the odd show here and there. But, you know, music will always be a part of me. But, like, going and seriously performing and doing competitions, no, I'm good. I'm good. As I said, the knees and the back are okay. They're okay. But, yeah.
Oh, man, I'm getting there. And I just started reffing this year.
Right.
And, like, I've been having some mad problems with my left knee, like bursitis.
Right.
And, like, it was, like, swollen, like, really big at one point, man. And, it's just, over the last, like, month, it's still not completely gone.
Right.
And it's, like, it's almost like, I don't know, man. It looks like a hematoma, but, like, on my kneecap almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm starting to do, and I don't even know exactly how it happened. Like, it was just something that I noticed, like, one day in the shower, and I was, like, washing my knee, and I was like, wait, it don't feel right. And I look down, like, oh, shit. What the fuck? Like,
right? But that's so cool that you ref, though. I like that, man.
Yeah, it's so fun, too. I always say, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm a fan of wrestling and comedy first.
Right?
Yes. And so, like, I have the best seat in the house as the ref. You know what I mean? And like, shit. It's so much fun. And I'm going in, I thought I knew a lot about wrestling. Mm. And, like, I did to an extent, but there's a lot of, like, terms and just, like, rules that I wasn't aware of or didn't even really consider, you know? And so I'm learning a lot about something that I like.
Which is
I always find it weird when people don't like pro wrestling. They'll be like, oh, that shit's fake. I'll be like, yo, man, like, lots of shit. Like, what do you watch? What's your favorite show?
You know what I mean?
Like, I never understand anyone who, and my girlfriend is kind of like on the fence. Where she likes going to the live events, but she doesn't like watching it here, so she gets a pass.
Okay.
I'll let her, because she gets there and she has fun. I look at her, she's smiling, she's into it and shit, so.
Yeah, wrestling is so much fun, man. Like, I mean, I remember you put up a post, and I was like, what the hell, dude, so lucky. On your Instagram, it was you and Thunder Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Out in Hamilton.
Yeah, not even in Hamilton, dude. That was, like, close to here, actually.
Oh, really?
That was, like, like, Tompkin and Eglinton area. That's, like, fucking 10-minute drive from here, dude.
Oh, okay, I thought you were out in Hamilton at the...
No, not that day,
Oh, okay.
I was, she was at Battle Arts. Like, that's kind of, like, where, like, I was training. I don't really train a lot there anymore because I'm getting paid and getting booked for shows and stuff like that, or events. My coach doesn't really like to call them shows.
No, right.
It's like the illusion, man. The illusion.
Of course, you gotta keep it kayfabe.
Like, dude, like legit learning from like some of the fucking best wrestlers. You know, one of my favorite wrestlers. I actually did a match with him. His name's Tarek. I did a match with him out in Oshawa, and I kind of like flubbed up the end. I don't even know what the flubbed up. I feel like I've never said that before in my life, but I fucked up the end of the match, you know, and he kind of like, he saved it, and it was kind of like a mix of like our faults, even though I feel like 75% was on me.
Right.
And I was like just beating myself up, and like I apologized to him, and he had another event to go to that night, so we really didn't get to talk much after.
Right, okay, gotcha.
And so the next morning, I came home and I was like stressing about it to my lady. And then the next morning he messages me and he's like, hey dude, like I just want to say sorry for yesterday. Because basically they changed the ending to the match.
Okay, gotcha.
And so it was a really long 2 count. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Right? And so he kind of like looked at me, and then it was like this kind of like rollout kind of thing. And then he ended it the way it was originally supposed to end. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. He really, because he's such a pro, like, he saved the match. I feel like most people didn't really realize.
Right.
But, like, I was sweating, dude.
Yeah, but see, a lot of people don't realize how much, and that's what I've learned over the past few years, is how much the ref really keeps the pacing of that match. It's like, you might see the guys flipping and slamming and all, and they're taking their bumps, and good on them. But then it's a lot of that is still on the ref, too. You know, to say, okay, the crowd's kind of dying off. All right, let's speed this up. Okay, the crowd's into it. Slow it down. And for the pacing of the match, and okay, and of course, from a safety standpoint, that ref has got to be like making sure. You know, when we watched Adam Page take that last bump.
Oh yeah.
You know, that ref was on top.
Great job.
Yeah, that ref was on point right away.
I can't even remember who it was right now, but it was
Moxley. Oh, the ref.
Yeah, the ref.
Yeah, it wasn't Aubrey. I can't, but he was on point.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of say what's going on, and then to show you the professionalism. Even though everybody was worried, they understood what had to be done, including Page. You know, so Moxley still was out there yamming away. You know, the ref was doing what he had to do. They kind of, played it off to anyone watching. You're not sure if that was work or it really was a true injury.
Yeah, like was MJF supposed to even come out at the end? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. I think so. I feel he was supposed to.
He's the next champ in my eyes, bro. Like straight up as of right now. Like I wouldn't say he's not on my all-time top 5 yet.
Yeah.
But like currently, he's like, I don't think there's anybody better than MJF.
He
like the
commits.
Oh my god, so much emotion. Like a level of emotion that I don't know anybody else has ever shown doing like promos and shit. And like the realism, like he's
commits.
Dude, I can't stress enough how he's taking a heel and like just like elevated like everything that I thought. I don't even know who my favorite heel would be, but everything that a number one heel would be, and just like times it by like tenfold. Let
me tell you something, man. Right now he's doing Hot Rod. He's doing Roddy Piper, right? I feel that 100%. If you look at Piper as a heel, he would commit to the point that if people saw him in the street, he would still be that person. Like, and MJF has been back now in AEW since he's been gone for a while, right? Mm-hmm. He hasn't wrestled once.
Yeah, I feel
Not
like
yet.
he came in, did that whole thing in the ring where he kind of just took the chip.
Yeah.
And then left, and then has just been cutting like insane promos since.
But he's entertaining. He's so good on the mic that how interested that even when he left, only Roddy Piper would pull something like it off, right? If you watch an old match when Roddy Piper is down in, I'm not sure if it's San Antonio, Texas, or I think it's LA, but it was a heavy Mexican crowd, Latino crowd at the event. And Piper walks out there with Orton. And he's like, hey, everyone, thanks for being here. In honor of me being here with all the Latinos around, I'm going to sing the Mexican national anthem. Right? And they're like, yeah! And he goes, all right, here we go. La cucaracha, na 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 na. He just called them all cockroaches. 80,000 people there. He calling them cockroaches. Metal chairs are getting thrown into the ring. Into the ring, and he's still going. He won't stop. La cucaracha, la cucaracha, and he won't stop. He had this people. They turned on him so badly, and he walked right out of there. He didn't even wrestle. He walked right out there and still telling everybody off. Yeah. And they were looking for him after. I think they tried to slash his tires or something like that. And he's like, got him. Like that. That's the level he's brought it to. MJF. If you watch some classic Roddy Piper. You watch Roddy Piper when they did the first SummerSlam or WrestleMania, or the second one, even when he was out there with Mr. T, Piper was, like, MJF is up there with Piper. Yeah. Right now, he's the closest person.
To be honest, bro, I don't know if he's heel much longer. It feels, here's the thing, like, his whole story just led him to be a natural face because he's like, fuck the man. Like, the whole thing is just like, no matter what they're gonna do, like, he could fucking call everybody poor and tell them they look like shit.
Right.
And they fucking cheer, bro.
Yes.
Like, it's and I don't know if it was the most recent Dynamite. I actually don't know if I saw Dynamite this week yet. But, like, one of the last couple ones where, like, his whole crew kind of, like...
Oh, the Firm.
Yeah, the Firm kind of, like, started beating him up. I was like, oh, they're really leaning into it. I feel like now he's just kind of like, well, the fans are going to like you regardless. We might as well lean into it. So I don't know how much longer he's going to be a heel for me.
But you know what? He might have just done that and still stay heel. Right? So
he could, dude. It would work, though. He could.
Look what he did with the Pinnacle, right? When he joined the Inner Circle. Sorry, my point. Apologies. When he joined the Inner Circle.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And he was there with him and Wardlow. And he was just kind of undercutting Sammy all the time. And Sammy was seeing through his crap. But everyone else was like, no. And then it came out, and he did the big reveal, and he goes, you know what, Jericho? I just wanted to get in there to mess with your head, and here's my group, the Pinnacle. And then, Jericho was like, well, I knew that's what you're trying to do, right? And then, we're ready to take you guys on. But he did it at a point that he came in as a heel. Then he was in a heel faction that was kind of turning babyface. And he was working, and you could see that he was kind of doing things a certain way just to stir the pot. Then he came out full out heel. So to me, I don't think he would be above him to go out there and say, I want Moxley at 100%. Because remember, he's hired the Firm. Goes out there, lets the Firm beat on him, to kind of give Moxley that sense of, oh, maybe he's turning, and even the fans say, oh, he's going to turn babyface. Yeah. For him to turn around and say, it was all a work. I got you guys all again.
That's awesome. That would be great. I wouldn't even, that's an awesome.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, he took that beating just to kind of lure the fans in, to kind of, he's going to be an anti-hero. And he's going to turn around and give you all middle fingers and say, got you again.
Firm's going to come out, seem like they're going to beat him, and then they attack Moxley, and he wins. Like,
yeah, they're going to help him win the match. Because remember, he's saying,
I want an awesome way to do it.
Well, he says, I don't need anyone else to beat Moxley. I don't want you guys there. Nobody attack him. Everything he said, they've done the opposite. Right? And then he's going to come out there and look like he's having problems with the Firm. He hired them, storyline-wise, right? Yeah. He hired them. You think you're going to really turn on the guy who's giving you your bread and butter? Yeah. Storyline-wise, I'm talking. No, man. I think it's all work, and he's going to come out, and they're going to do something, and he's going to what? And sure enough, he's going to have that match with Moxley. He's going to beat Moxley. Right? So there's going to be interference by someone from the Firm. He's going to beat Moxley. He's going to yell at the person on the Firm. And then the following week, he's going to say, I'm better than you, and you know it. Got you again. And he's just going to increase that heat level once again.
How do you guys keep falling for this?
This is what I'm expecting.
Right? Yeah,
that's
that would
what
be
I'm
great.
on.
I would love that, actually.
Right? We'll talk about this after.
Well, yeah, man. When is All Out?
Is it coming up this week?
I
think it's this week.
Is it this week?
I think it's this week. It's coming out.
It's not tomorrow, though.
I could be.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I gotta look into that.
Blurred line. So, yeah. We will touch base after. Let's see if I'm right or not.
Man.
Let's see if he wins, and then let's see what happens the Wednesday after, and we'll message each other going,
I will be insanely shocked if he doesn't win the title, regardless of how it is. I don't take anything off the table with him because he's always kind of... Anytime that you feel like you got him, he does something else, and you're like, oh, that's why he's so good, because he just keeps doing that. In a time where, like, kayfabe was really, really almost completely dead. Yeah. In a time where there's just leaks, fucking, like,
websites, the Twitters, even the wrestlers themselves, inadvertently doing it. He has stuck. I mean, to the point...
I never want to know if the whole... like heat between him and Khan is real. I never want to know, bro.
Right.
To be honest, like, I prefer it just be like, in a mystery.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Yeah. And I like being a fan. You want to be along for that ride, right? And as a fan, I'm happy to go along with that ride. I'm happy to have the discussions, think about it, and then let it play out how it plays out, man. As I said, if it's work, great. I mean, he's so committed to this point. Because I think what really started is when CM Punk came back, CM Punk turned around and he goes, you know what, MJF, you run your mouth all the time because they're working their rivalry. Mm-hmm. And he goes, there's 4 pillars in AEW, and you're not one of them. Britt Baker is a pillar. You're not one of the 4 pillars. And he was like, what? And from there on, MJF stepped up his game.
Who's considered Sammy Guevara, Britt Baker, Darby Allin?
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Adam Page?
I think it was Page.
Is that who it is?
I think it was Page, yeah.
Fuck. That's a good 4, though, man.
That's a solid 4.
I like all the 4, but, like, I feel like MJF's got to be in there. Well, he's got to be somewhere in the mix, like... Because he's been from the beginning, dude. He's an AEW original,
absolutely.
I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And just having that even storyline, going that far back, and he's been milking that, saying, I'm not one of the 4 pillars, watch me! And he just started that whole rivalry with CM Punk.
Yeah.
And then Jericho. So he's in there with great opponents, regardless if people like them or not. He's worked with them really well. And then when he stepped away for those couple of months because he quit or was suspended or whatever, it's to the point he committed so much, he took all his merch off the store.
Oh, yeah. I think he even, like, unfollowed they started doing...
Yeah.
Like, they unfollowed each other from social media. You didn't see his name on the roster. Like, they went all out, dude.
Yeah. And name another wrestler that's going to turn around and say, well, I might be suspended, but I'm going to still keep my merch there. He cut off his income stream at that moment and had everyone talking like, where's Waldo? Where's MJF? Right? Where is he? Nobody saw him. Nobody, nothing. Even to the point where, who is it? Sherry Shepherd, right? She's fills in on The View. She covers for How You Doing? Wendy Williams. She's an actress herself, so you would see her on Gabriel Iglesias' show where he's playing a school teacher, right? And Sherry was the principal of the school. So she was on a plane, and she saw her son was like, "Oh, Mom, look, there's that wrestler MJF." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know who he is." She's like, "Oh, he's from AEW," because her son's a fan of it. And she goes, "Oh, okay." And she walks up to him on the plane, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Sherry Shepherd." He goes, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." He's like, "You know what I was like, yeah." He goes, "Is it possible that I can get a..." And this is when he was suspended from AEW. And she's like, "Can I get a picture of you and my son because he's a fan?" And he went, "No." He goes, "What?" He goes, "I'm not working." "No, you can't." He goes, "For what I'm doing right now, I'm not on social media anywhere." "No." And at first, she was offended, and she talked to somebody else. I can't remember who she said she spoke to. But she talks about the story. She spoke to someone else, and he goes, "Do you blame him?" He's allowed to say no. He's on a plane minding his business. You said hi, okay, fine. But he said no, because that was that whole blackout period where he was showing up nowhere on social media.
Yeah.
So how kayfabe are you that you... Hey, I got a fan. No. Merchandise is down. I'm not doing anything. Nobody's supposed to know where I'm at. And he lived his life very quietly at that moment, doing whatever he was doing. Clearly, he went to the gym because he got more ripped. And that's how committed he is. No other wrestler I've seen has been that committed. Right?
And I love seeing also, to your point, with like the kids and how he interacts kind of with the kids. It's like the only time I've really seen him, like he was like half broken. Right. And I can't remember exactly what the kid was doing, but like the kid obviously flipped MJF off. And they were trying to take a photo, and MJF was like, all right, like, you know, pose for the photo. And the kid was just being a smart ass.
Right.
And then MJF, like, you could see him smile at one point.
Yes.
And then he, like, dials it back.
Yes. Yes.
And, like, just so many pictures of him flipping off kids. And
yeah.
Flip, like, if you're not into the world, I could kind of get why you might, you know, be offended by something like that. On the same... you know, coin though, I mean, just because you're an entertainer doesn't mean you're always, you know, wanting to take photos too. You know?
That's it. But once again, he believes his persona.
Oh, he owns everything, bro.
Yeah. And so when he meets kids and the kids are meeting him and the parents are bringing him over, it's like, here, here's my wrestler MJF. Yeah, whatever. And he's flipping him off. Let me tell you something. They want to be flipped off, right? They're going with the expectation of MJF's going to get there, flip me off, and all is good. They want it to happen. You know what I mean? It's like going to see certain singers, certain performers, certain comedians. You know, if you go and saw an Andrew Dice Clay show, and you're sitting in the front row, and you're a female, and you're showing off cleavage, he's going to make comments about it.
Yeah.
It's like going to see Kinnison. When Kinnison was doing his stuff, and you would sit there, if you're in the front row, you're going to be there. And if you watch the fans, they ate it up. They wanted to be made fun of.
Yeah.
They went there in the front row specifically to say, see me, say something. Huh? 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 And it's like, okay, so you're getting the experience. It's like, you're walking out. It's like, yo, man, he said that about you. I know, it was great, right?
Yeah. Okay, so my love affair, I worded that really weird, with MJF started... truly at Battle Arts Academy, dude. Before AEW started.
Right.
It's a 100% true story. And I wasn't reffing at the time. And so, you know, I don't know. You should also come to an event there, dude, at some point.
I want to.
There's one in December. Bandito's going to be there.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know everybody. I don't think everyone's announced yet. But,
okay. No, I want to. I just need to know who to talk to. I remember... and I'll tell you a funny story about that after, but yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, so he was there with SCU, all the 3 SCU guys were there, and a couple other AEW guys.
Okay.
But AEW wasn't a thing. I didn't know any of them at the time. My buddy who I was with, he's a little deeper into it, so he was like, oh, this is who they are, you know, explaining everything to me, and then MJF comes out, and automatically I'm like, oh, Burberry scarf, boo! And so I start booing him, and I'm like front row. Like front row.
Yeah.
And he's like walking by, and he like smacks my hand. And I was like, I love this guy. Yes! And I probably told this story so many times on the podcast, but I'll tell it for the rest of life. Because like, it's these little interactions. Like all those kids... that, you know, he's giving the finger to, they're gonna fucking remember that for life, man. And they're gonna love it. It's gonna be a story they talk about when they're like, you know, fucking 40 and shit, you know? It's creating memories, and that's kind of what you need. Like, I fell off of wrestling for a bit because I just felt like with WWE being really the only main promotion in North America, they didn't have, you know...
no competition, no variety.
Not really. Like, who was second place? Impact? And don't get me wrong, I love Impact, but, like, they were far behind in second place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I only liked Impact at certain points, so...
Yeah, for real, though, yeah. And they're doing all right now. And I forgot what I was talking about. What was I saying?
Little moments, you know, WWE... kind of...
Yes. Right. So, but the reason why I fell off wrestling in the first place was just because I felt like there wasn't a lot of people committing to characters. Like, a lot of them were just pretty boys, all doing the same moves, all saying the same kind of just generic stuff, and no one really stood out. Because when I started, I got into wrestling because of the characters. Fucking Ultimate Warrior, Hogan, Papa Shango, Repo Man, like, the Bushwhackers, fucking, you know? Like, that's when I got into it, because they all were super unique, you know what I mean?
Yep.
They all had their own thing, and now it's really nice with... AEW being like really good competition with WWE and Triple H running the show.
Absolutely.
Like
And
wrestling's oh man, there's so much potential.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know what, AEW, what I liked about AEW, and I'm not a knock on WWE, right, is just that AEW had more of an indie feel.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Yeah.
So it's a different flavor altogether. You're not getting like another brand trying to do the exact same thing as WWE. You know what I mean? It's got a totally different feel within the locker rooms. Well, you know, and I mean in a positive way. You know how they put their stuff together, how they promoted it, and then a lot of guys. So, and then they're really opening up to a lot of crossovers. As a comic book fan, love my crossovers. So when I'm seeing New Japan wrestlers making their way into AEW, you know, I mean, like I never really knew about, was it the United Empire? So Will Ospreay.
Oh, dude.
He came in AEW. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, they came in there, the Empire. I'm like, oh, okay. Then I saw him wrestle a match, and I'm like,
great wrestler, dude.
where the hell is he?
Yeah.
What? Right? And then not a knock on him, but that's what opened the doors, and I'm like, okay, I gotta backtrack to find some of his matches on YouTube and just learn more about this guy. Dude is fire. Like,
yeah, dude.
As soon as I saw him that first time on AEW, I'm like, Instagram, and follow. Okay, like without hesitation, he hits AEW soil and carries on the same way with the rest of his stable.
Bro, what if MJF goes to WWE? I think that's a real possibility too.
I don't want that to happen.
No?
I don't want that to happen because
I would prefer it not to happen, but I don't think AEW would lose a lot of steam. And I think actually it would maybe get me more interested in WWE because I don't watch a lot, man. Maybe I watch WrestleMania every year and like a few things in between when my buddy's like, yo, you need to watch this AJ Styles match, you know, or like some good, just whatever 5-star matches there are, you know.
I agree with you, and this is why I don't want him to go. It's not because AEW would miss out on him, but I think him going over to WWE, he'd get too restricted.
That's true
because they have a board of directors that they're
there's so many filters because of the level that they're at, right?
Exactly. If it was pre, now if it was within the Attitude Era and you would have put MJF over there. Fire.
Right.
Okay, during the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
But because when they came out the Attitude Era, they kind of toned things down a little bit because they got a board of directors, so they got to answer to certain people a little bit more strict. He's got more freedom in my mind in AEW, but he would make more money in WWE. Because the first thing is he walks over, he's going to have that pop, and everyone's going to say, what are you going to do next? So that's what I feel.
Take the championship from Cody Rhodes, bro. 2 years, am I seeing into the future?
Don't know. So yeah.
No, go ahead.
So I don't know, but that's what I said. So for him personally, maybe in being on a bigger stage, when I say WWE, we all know it's a bigger property. It's been around a lot longer, especially than AEW. I'm afraid that they would hinder his progress for what he's done now, But maybe not with Triple H now being there. Mm-hmm. Triple H would say, no, we've got to really get back to our roots. And I know Hunter he would more be open to MJF being in there than Vince would. If Vince was at the helm, he would get watered down.
Yeah.
That is the truth about it. He doesn't
we're just going to call him Maxwell.
Yeah. We call him Maxwell. He wouldn't get the airtime and airplay out there. And then of course Vince likes the guys that are 6'7" and 300 pounds jacked, and Vince has always had that vision. Triple H is the one that started off the 205 division at one point. Triple H was the one who started off next.
He is the reason that and once he left and it was like NXT 2.0 or whatever.
Yeah.
That was just not a good. I didn't like any of that stuff, to be honest.
No, but if you look even at 205, when Triple H said, "Hey, we got to bring in some of the smaller wrestlers, the high flyers or luchadors, let's give them a division." I was behind him with that vision because he realized that you had to diversify, and that's what he was doing. And he always got knocked down by Vince, right? And clearly, when he left, what did Vince do? 2.0. He took NXT and he made it super, bright and colorful, where everyone was cool with the black and gold. Keep it simple. So Triple H now being back on the helm and MJF being there, he'd have more leeway. When it was Vince that was there, Absolutely not. Let him stay in AEW and get that entertainment that we're getting.
At the end of the day, I don't want him to leave. I just want to
No.
say that. I like AEW is like where my heart's at right now, and I would prefer him to stay there. But
Yep.
I don't think it. I mean, if he's just looking for money, you know.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's business, as they all like to
Yeah.
say, right?
Yeah.
Gotta do business.
We'll
Gotta
see.
do business.
Well, see, I think someone like him might think he's just looking for money, and then would be put in a position where he can't do what he wants to do, and
Yeah.
he'd be like, oh, maybe I had it better off there.
Yep,
You know?
exactly.
Because I wouldn't be able to, call Triple H a fucking mark.
Right?
No.
Oh, no, not at all.
No.
But Tony Khan is like open to it and brought him back. And I mean, and from that point of view, like I'll say this, he had a point. As you said, MJF was there at the beginning of AEW. Other
He
wrestlers,
has a point, for sure.
yeah. And other wrestlers came in and made more money, but he's been there from the beginning. And he's been
Pulling more weight, too. Like,
pulling more, of course.
Yeah.
More weight, more heat. He's done it all, regardless of what others might say about him. So he's done it all from the beginning. And then you're seeing other guys coming in, doing less and getting more.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed off too.
I would.
Yeah, so he went about it. So bringing him back, he showed, it's like, look, you brought me back. And the fact he even went to the gym, and he's more ripped and cut now than he was before he left. So I'm really interested to see how his match is going to go with Moxley. Because he can wrestle.
That'll be good, man.
Not only can he talk, he can
And
go.
I love me Moxley. Like, I love me some Moxley, but I think it's, he's had a bit of time. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, due to circumstances, he had to come back.
Yeah, the last, yeah.
He was supposed to be on vacation, and it's like, all right, but it shows you that he believes in the product.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the other point is that we look at when Moxley was in after they broke up the Shield, right? And he was going by Dean Ambrose, the Maniac. What did they do with him at the end?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. They didn't know what to do. Then he came back and he went back to being Mox. Okay, and he look what he's done in AEW. So he started off pretty much the same character, even though it was just a different name.
Mm-hmm.
But he had the freedom to go there.
Yeah.
Right?
And he's arguably one of the biggest names now, I would say.
Well, they had him. They just didn't let him do him. Don't point him in a direction and just say go. That's the best thing to do with Mox.
Mm-hmm.
Let him do it. He knows what he's got to do. Right? Point and go. Right? And that was it. And AEW, Tony Khan said, all right, you want to be champion, you want to carry the company? There you go. Do what you got to do. All right. And he went out there and he did all types of matches. He's done strong style. He's done the death matches. He's gone really above and beyond the duty. And
There was like a barbed wire fucking match or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if the ropes were barbed wire. They might have been that he did with Omega.
yeah.
That was a fucking wild match, man. And that was on like Dynamite too. Crazy, dude. That's the shit that, I remember from like Raw back in like the late 90s and shit.
Attitude Era, man.
Yeah, dude. All right, man. So maybe we'll get started on our top 5. And I
Sure.
feel like overrated wrestlers would be a good one to start with.
Okay, absolutely.
All right. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, overrated wrestler, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that. And what I mean by Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan was good for the business, but as a wrestler, he's very limited in moves. I find
Yeah, very.
very
Yeah.
limited in moves. Right? He had a persona. His persona was good, and it worked well for all the Hulkamaniacs out there, and he
Sold a lot of merch.
sold tons of merch.
Money, but
Yeah, did some appearances here and there off, out of the wrestling world, like in Rocky 3, where he was like a Thunder
yeah,
Lips.
yeah.
And that's cool, right? And then he was smart enough to reinvent himself as Hollywood Hogan with the NWO
yeah.
at the beginning of that. But as a wrestler, like he's good on the mic, he was able to inspire. He was smart enough to reinvent himself. At one point, he was coming a little bit dated and stale to kind of keep up the time. But as a wrestler in the ring, I find he's overrated.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just my feel about it. So
That's cool.
sorry.
No, that's cool. Don't be sorry, guy. I understand what you're saying, though.
Mm-hmm.
Limited moveset. Good gimmick, though.
Yeah, good gimmick. But it's like, oh no, he's going to do the leg drop. Oh, he missed.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, when is the last time he actually connected with that leg drop? And I had to think. Hulk Hogan definitely is one to me. I don't want to say, post-mortem, like Ultimate Warrior. Goldberg, to me, was overrated. 100%. Does he have the physique? Yep. Did he have the persona? Yep. Was he, at times, I saw him as a carbon copy of Stone Cold Steve Austin? Sure, but Austin had a move set.
And was was great on the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? They made Austin, you know what I mean? Austin made Austin. Okay? WCW made Goldberg. He never really wanted to be a wrestler. Even in his own, if you watch WWE Legends, and he talked about his whole journey on biography, he didn't really want to be a wrestler. He always wanted to be a football player. When things weren't working out and he went to different teams, you know, and someone says, hey, you got to pay the bills, why don't you try wrestling? Oh, I guess so. He didn't want to be a wrestler. He got into it. So his heart wasn't into it. So he never really properly learned how to wrestle. His wrestling matches were against jobbers most of the time, or, you know, and then they exaggerated his numbers. He's undefeated 101 and 0.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
He had a great entrance where you'd see him come from the back, escorted out, fireworks. He'd do the whole thing, and it was all hyped up. And then you get in the ring, and it's 2 moves.
Yeah.
It was he would knock you down, go to his corner, spit, okay, chum over, spear, get up, look at the camera, grab you, hold you, pile driver, pin, walk away with the belt. That was it. When he got into a match with Undertaker, and they had to do a match, Undertaker, as experienced as he is, could not save that match.
Yeah, I feel like I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it was. And he never wanted to learn. I mean, I look at, you know, Jade Cargill, and she's almost...
She's getting good, dude.
Well, that's it. See, when she first started off, I might have think maybe she was overrated, but she's still learning, right? And you see her improve over time.
With Goldberg, I was a real big fan of his original run.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he disappeared for quite a while. And then when he came back, I was originally excited. But then, I don't know, man. It was stale. Like, at that point, you're like, all right, maybe you've add a little more. Like, I'm just saying, man. If you know, we performed fucking 15 years ago.
Yes.
And then you see me, 15 years later, and, like, my stage presence hasn't improved, or, like, my crowd workout, just nothing is better.
Right.
It just didn't make sense. It's like, just try, like, I don't know. It seems like he tried not to try.
Yeah.
Almost. He was just like, I'm Goldberg.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and man, you can't take away what he originally did. That
No.
I don't know the real actual number, but like there was a lot of cool stuff, and he lost it. I remember how he lost it from Scott Hall, fucking in the cattle prod or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Like it was a big thing. Like, you know, me and my friends were talking about it, but after he came back, it was just. You didn't need to do that.
No.
Or learn some more before you come back.
Exactly. Just learn some more moves. Get a couple of more moves to your move set. Get your in-ring ability up. And I think someone like Goldberg would have profited more with having Paul Heyman in his corner. Because Paul Heyman would have toned around and said, this is what you need to do. You work on this. Let me be your mouthpiece until you're able to run with it yourself. Right? It's like Britt Baker. Miss DMD.
Yeah.
She said in an interview on their podcast that the AEW podcast, that she goes up with Tony Schiavone, especially at first, because she was nervous about being on the mic. And her mic skills weren't that strong. So she always felt good to have Tony Schiavone there. And as she's gotten better, even though she didn't need Tony Schiavone, he would just sometimes stand there and she would do it, but it was almost like a security blanket. But she understood where her flaw was, and she's worked on it. And if you look at her mic skills now, they've gotten way better.
Oh, for sure.
And even back then, I thought they were good, but I didn't realize that she was using Tony as a crutch, but she was smart about it, right? It's like, that's why it's always Tony Schiavone who was doing her interviews, you know, and they had that friendship and used it to her advantage. So, like, Roman Reigns has got Paul Heyman. Brock Lesnar wasn't good on the mic. He had Paul Heyman. Goldberg would have benefited from Paul Heyman's tutelage. Absolutely. So, that's another person that definitely on my list that was overrated, that I thought. I'm trying to think of some other ones, man. I and it's something that not really they're overrated. Maybe they just don't have the run to do it. Like, you see, like, I like Orange Cassidy, but the Best Friends, either they're not used properly, like they still come in there, and I see fans get behind them, but they haven't really impressed me. Like when they wrestle, they can wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they're not over. They're overrated. Rated because of not because of their wrestling ability. It's either they're not doing business in the back to get them in that spotlight as a known tag team. Right? They've got the moveset. They've got the looks. They got this whole tie-dye thing, and I feel that they're more popular because of Orange Cassidy than because of being best friends. I think, you want to be best friends. One, the name's got to change. I get a little more pizzazz to it. The tie-dye thing, I get that's their thing, but maybe get away from the tie-dye, get to like some nice colors for their wrestling gear, and then get in there. It's too gimmicky. But they have the moveset. That's what gets me. They know what to do. They've got to really play up that role a little bit more in the back and do politics. So that's my take on the best friends. Not because I don't like them.
Yeah.
I just want more from them.
Okay.
I look at the Acclaim, and from where they started and where they're at right now.
Dude, the growth is phenomenal, yeah.
They are, like, the New Age Outlaws version 2.0.
For real, yeah.
That exactly down to key. They were doing their thing before. They looked at it as like, who do we like? New Age Outlaws, and that's my favorite tag team. My personal favorite tag team of all time is New Age Outlaws. Road Dogg, Mr. Ass. Those are my absolute favorite. And if you look at what one does, even within the duo of the tag team, compared to what the Acclaim is doing, copy, paste. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And endorsed by one of the original members.
Yeah.
Right? So that's who it is. I think that's another one is the Gun Club. Right? Not Billy Gunn, but his sons. Once again, they haven't found their footing. And it's going to be interesting when they do. And I think the last person I can think of, and it's not like I'm trying to pick on AEW, it's just I watched that more than WWE, is Brian Pillman Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not because he doesn't have it. He came in there, he's got his dad's name, he looks like his dad, obviously. And I think people are expecting a continuation of his dad. I know I am, but I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't see it. I don't see it. And, when he was going with the House of Black and fighting them, it's like, okay, Varsity Blondes, I'm like, that's almost back to like, Shawn Michaels and Jannetty.
Jannetty, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but you got to put your own stamp on it, right? Like, the Acclaimed really came out, and even though I see him as another version of the New Age Outlaws, they've kind of put their own kind of spin on it. They've got, they're coming out in pink and black, all right? A lot of the Heart Foundation vibes. And then, even then their own personal lives, they kind of made it a little bit more personal. I mean, Bowens comes out and he's like, yeah, man, I kind of was bisexual, but I'm full out gay. Good on him. He's the first openly gay wrestler holding a belt, And then his buddy Max is like, yeah, I'm still a virgin. I'm like, okay, good on you. As you hear all the stories on the road, and you got a gay guy and a virgin who are together running AEW in the tag team division right now.
Yeah.
So they put a little bit of themselves into it to make it their own. And Scissor Me Daddy Ass. Oh, come on, that's classic. They followed that blueprint. So yeah, those are people kind of stand out right now for me.
All right, I can appreciate what you're throwing down there. I have definitely a different list. And my number one is very frustrating because I know how much he knows, and I just feel like I find him overrated because he's just become kind of like a Goldberg in a sense, like Suplex City. Like Brock Lesnar is my number one, man.
Right.
And like, to be real, like when he first went to the UFC, it was like a big deal. I was like, oh, what's up? The fake guy's heavyweight champion.
Right.
And I loved it and made wrestling look good. And then whatever happened in UFC with the roids, that's, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he went back and he has all of the knowledge and he does nothing with it, I feel like.
Yep.
Like very little, at least.
Yep.
So that's the reason, because he has the knowledge and he doesn't do it. That's the reason he's my number one. My number two, my number two is CM Punk.
Right.
And when he first came, to be real, I've never been a CM Punk fan, But when he first came back, the original Pop, I was like,
Yes.
how is anyone, even if you weren't a fan, like, it's not like I hated him.
No.
I was just indifferent. I didn't really care. He was an era that I didn't really pay attention to wrestling a lot, so he didn't stand out to me. But then when all that happened and he came out and it was huge, I was like, oh, there might be something to this guy.
Yep.
And then, like, and don't get me wrong, while he was around, he had, like a few good matches, but it just seems like...
Overhyped, underdelivered?
Yes. And, like, he's like this, like, he's almost like a cancer wherever he goes. Like, he just seems very, like, in a business where, like, you go in the ring and, like, the ref is doing their part and that, you know, the athletes are doing their part.
Right.
It just feels like he doesn't, like, I don't think he's pulled his weight since he came in AEW.
On the mic, yes. In the matches, no. He's a punk. No, but I agree with you.
People like him, and I can't take anything away from that. Same with Brock. It's like he's very popular, but it's just in my opinion, you know? I feel like...
Yeah. Brock, and once again...
You had such a chance to, like, make people think differently, and you just did the exact same thing. Like, I don't know if he's going to end up going back to AEW, but personally, like, I don't really care if he does. Yeah, no. It doesn't, like, I feel like it might be bad for the company. Everyone's like, Impact, and it's like, Impact's not going to be able to afford him if AEW doesn't take him. You think WWE would take him back after all the shit? Like, I don't know, man.
No.
Even with Triple H, like, I don't know. Even if it's good for business, I don't know.
No, I don't see that happening. I
mean,
no. He would have more of a chance if Vince was still at the helm. Because a lot of times if Vince will say, oh, I'm not taking this, you know, I'm done with this person's gone. And then they make one call, they have a conversation, and Vince will look and say, but can I make money off of this?
That's where, yeah.
See, and that's Vince's, and that he would have a chance with Vince. Outside of that, no. Okay, we're done. Yeah. Okay, so I get you. I hear you.
Ronda Rousey's my number 3.
Yep. Okay.
I feel like she definitely has, like, some skill. Like, she's pure athlete. She's good and she knows things, but, like, she's just not a wrestler. Like, I'll never view her as a wrestler. She's real stiff. She doesn't sell moves. I feel like the way she, like, you know, she doesn't sell moves well. She's definitely, I'll admit, she's gotten better from what I've seen. The very little that I've seen since she started, she's gotten better, but, like...
And she had things handed to her. I mean, literally, she had the Hot Rod name handed to her by the family.
Yeah.
And she could have taken that. She could have
gone... Nothing wrong with that. Like, good show, you know, carry on. Like, I appreciate the love for Piper, but...
Yeah, but I think, to your point, she could have taken that to another level. Mm-hmm. And no.
Yeah, she could have kind of ran with a little bit of that gimmick, you know? Yeah. It seems like it was a little wasted, right?
Yeah. I agree.
Just made a nice shirt.
Yeah.
Number 4, The Miz, bro.
Really?
Yeah. I honestly, out of all of these wrestlers, I don't think he's the most overrated, but I don't like him the most.
Really?
Out of all the wrestlers on here, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? And I don't know if it actually stems from Tough Enough.
Mm.
And, like, because that's where he started, right?
Yeah,
He's originally on Tough Enough. Yeah, and I saw some stuff and I was like, I don't like this guy. And again, he's someone who's gotten better, but I just don't get the hype. Like, I don't see how he became world champion. I just don't get it, bro.
Right. You know what?
Are you a big Miz fan?
I like some stuff. You know what I jumped on board with him? Is when he cut that promo on their show after. He had the belt and it was him and Daniel Bryanson that were talking. And he got in Daniel's face, and then Daniel had to walk away. It was like, you know, I can't remember what it was, where Renee Paquette had her own show there. You know, and Booker T and all the rest beyond as a guest. So if you watch that promo that he cut, because Daniel Bryanson turns around and he says, hey, man, you know what? You wrestle safe. He goes, what does that mean? He goes, well, you don't take hits. You kind of pull back, and you're not exciting. You wrestle too safe. And then Miz lost it.
Yeah.
To the point he got in their face and almost like it was going to come to blows. And Daniel's like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. And Daniel walks off. And the Miz like, give me the microphone. Yeah, and he cut that. It was the best promo he's ever done at the time. No one else has done a promo like that.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, now you got some fire. Let me see what you do after. You know?
See, I've never seen a fire in him, bro. He always just seemed like, you know, knows he's got a good foundation and knows the business.
Yep.
But, like, I don't know. It's kind of like, he's he's how Cody Rhodes was to me pre-AEW. Cody Rhodes, I learned so much respect since the birth of AEW, and even since he's went back to WWE.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just kind of like, he's pre-AEW Cody Rhodes to me.
Right, gotcha.
It's like, he's just like, it's just not, I don't know, man.
No, but I see your point.
Definitely skilled, like as a wrestler, technically.
Yeah, but I see your point. Like, you figured, like, that's the only time I saw the fire. And as I said, it was that moment I said, okay, let me see what you can do. And he kind of went up, but I guess he knows how to play his politics in the back, more so than what you see in matches at times. So
I'm going to check out that promo, though.
Yeah, it's one to watch.
And then I'm going Kevin Nash, bro. Yeah, you know what? And he was at Battle Arts, and I don't know, like, maybe this isn't good to talk about things like this now that I'm in the fucking business a little bit.
Right.
But, like, he said hi to me and stuff, but he just didn't seem like he was there doing, like signings and stuff and meeting people and taking photos. First of all, he's charging, like, $50. Which is like way more than the app. Usually they're $20-$30, bro.
Right.
That's it. And this guy's charging like a significant. Like my boys came, and they wanted to meet him, and then it was like $50, and he was just like, they were watching how he was interacting with the fans. Like my other buddy ended up paying. And so I was talking. He's like, yeah, I just met Kevin Nash, and I was like, oh yeah, what was that like? He's like, oh well, I like asked him a question, and he completely ignored me.
Really?
Yeah, so, and this is all, like, personal stuff, but beyond that, like, again, not a big move set. I don't even think Diesel was his best character.
Yeah.
You know? And,
yeah.
And, like, even Diesel was just, like, you know, a few moves kind of guy. Like, he never really varied from that. Had a cool power bomb, you know, lift up your leg.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know. He didn't deliver in the character, and I think he piggybacked off of Scott Hall a little bit through a lot of his career, to be honest. I love Scott Hall.
Oh, Scott Hall's the bad guy. Okay, so in WWE, I was along for the ride in the gimmick when he was Diesel, right? But when he left and they went over to WCW and he came out as the bad guys, the outsiders, I think that's really where he started to shine in the ring. You know, before NWO, right, when they were just the outsiders, and even the beginning of NWO, he carried his weight. And this is what I'll say. What I liked about Kevin Nash is when it was him and Hall. One, he got in there, so I saw more of a moveset. His knees were good. So I saw more of a moveset from Nash. He was really in there. He was passionate. And on top of it, it was the first time you saw, for me, I saw heels in there that did not cheat.
Oh, okay.
No shortcuts. As the outsiders, they went in there and they're like, oh, this is where the big boys play. And I watched those matches. I watched those pay-per-views, man. And all the time my buddies are, oh. And I'm like, notice he didn't cheat. No shortcuts. From him and Hall. Hall and Nash didn't cheat as the outsiders. And they were wrecking shop on everybody. And that's where I think the equity went up more for me. I liked him as Diesel character, the bodyguard. But when it was really Hall and Nash, when Kevin Nash was in there, his promos were cool. He was Big Daddy Cool, so he's always going to be a certain way and all that. You know how he talks in the mic. He's very laid back. And when he got in there, and he turned it up and amped it up a little bit, I was happy. I wouldn't say... So, I would say he was overrated maybe more in WWE, but when he went to WCW, I was all aboard that first half of the ride. I was like, freaking do it, man. As I said, no shortcuts.
They were a good team. I'm not taking anything away from the team.
No. But I mean, he carried his own. That's my point. Is he carried his own, and I found him more interesting when he was going by his true name than Diesel.
Okay.
You know, and you're talking about meeting him. I met him at Battle Arts a time before. So this is when he was charging $20. They were doing it was Heroes of Woodbridge, right? So Battle Arts is in that complex where the Heroes comic book store is.
Okay. I actually do know where that is. Yeah.
Okay, right. So that's where I went there, and when I went there. He was doing a signing, so I paid the $20, and it was him and Scott Hall.
Oh shit!
Not Scott Hall, sorry, Scott Steiner.
Okay, not as good. But
yeah.
That's
so
cool.
But it was the two of them, and everyone was just watching them, and they're in the back, and they were just talking back and forth and all that. And I turned around and I said, "Hey man, can I get a picture? You know, I paid. Here's my ticket." He goes, "Oh sure, no problem." He goes, and he talked to me. He didn't ignore me or nothing. He was super nice, and he goes, "Okay man, so how you want to do this picture?" I go, "Can I ask you a favor?" And he goes, "Oh, okay, sure." I go, "Can you put me in a headlock?" And he looked at me and he laughed. And he goes, seriously? I went, yeah, man. I go, if I'm getting a picture with you, I want a headlock. I want to be in a headlock. And he goes, you know what, man? That is the best request I've had all day ever from someone asking me to do a picture. He goes, no one's ever asked me that before. And he put me in a headlock, and that's how we took the picture. And I have it up on my Instagram and on my website. You know, and I mean, this guy's freaking tall.
He is.
He didn't have to bend over. It was just, and he's just got that smirk on him. And I'm like, and it was, to me, that was the most memorable moment. So I had a good experience meeting him live.
Okay.
And then I got pictures with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who was walking around.
I met Hacksaw before, yeah.
You know, Coco Beware. And Hacksaw was in the background. He's like, yo, man, can I take a picture? He's like, well, you're not supposed to because I'm not in my booth, but take the picture. So they were so cool. And then, you know, Santino Morello.
Yeah.
Right? He was walking around, so he was out from WWE with a neck injury. But he was at Battle Art. So at this point, he's training. He's got like a beard growing in. And I had some little flyers that I was passing around to the people just to promote my website. And he goes, come on over, man. I'll take a picture with you. And just like that, out of the kindness of heart. So it's me, my buddy Thomas on the other side. And he's in the middle holding up a sign saying Barry 3D Carter. You know, and I'm like, how freaking cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off your list.
No, we're done, dude. I was done my list.
Oh, okay then.
Let's move on to tag team finishers then.
Woo!
Since we're still on wrestling.
Okay.
I can go first this one.
Sure.
Now, 3D is my number one.
Yes.
Obvious reasons. I feel like it's very versatile. I love the use of tables. You know?
No preference here with my shirt saying Barry 3D.
Yo, but man,
yes, yeah.
I just it's fun. It's not necessarily like maybe not the most painful looking one, but it's just easy. It's graceful. Like it's just you could see it coming, and I don't mind that at all.
Come on, and the catchphrase, Devon, get the tables.
Yeah,
everybody knows it.
Yeah,
everybody knows it.
And then so I looked this one up because I didn't know what it was called. There's a couple actually I looked up because I didn't know what they were called. But currently, Jurassic Express isn't together.
No,
but they originally had like this flip, like like fucking Luchasaurus would flip the guy up, and then he'd like hand him to Jungle Boy like over his head, and Jungle Boy would powerbomb him. Apparently, I don't know. I put powerbomb flip. It didn't really have a name. It said powerbomb combo and like I don't know. Right. So, but that's the move. That's my number 2. And then I'm going Drag the Lake. That was one. It's Butcher and Blade. The Butcher and the Blade.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
So they have one. It's kind of almost similar, but it's like a powerbomb net breaker.
Okay.
Where Butcher kind of is gonna powerbomb him.
Right.
And then Blade kind of grabs his neck and does the neck breaker finish. I really like that one. And then I'm going Big Rig, it's called now. FTR.
Yes.
Which actually is kind of similar to the 3D as well.
Right.
Except they just use like their legs. It's kind of like, what's Jericho's move where he does that? The Code Breaker or something?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe?
Yeah. So that's my number. And then I'm going the LB Driver. And I was really torn because I really like Legion of Doom's Doomsday Device. Like, that's classic to me. Right. But man, some of these teams are really innovative with the way they like man, I feel like every time I see Lucha Bros perform, I see at least one move that I've never seen before. Every time. Yep. And I love that shit. So LB Driver is my number 5.
Sweet. See, now I don't know. Like I'm with you with 3D. 100%. 3D is on my list for sure. So 3D I would like, and I don't know the names of the finishers, but I can tell.
That's okay. That's okay.
So 3D, I like their finisher. And then I would go back with the British Bulldogs when they were a tag team. Right? So you had like Davey Boy and you know, and the Bulldog itself, right? But yeah, they get in there. I love their combination of moves. So I would say, you know, 3D, British Bulldogs. Of course, I got to put my guys on there. And I don't know the moves, but, you know, the New Age Outlaws, the Acclaimed, and then the Acclaimed had a good one. And then Christian and Edge.
What was Christian and Edge's?
They unless I'm getting my moves confused, was it Christian and Edge? I think they would have you stretched out and one would hold the neck and then drop you. I think.
And they would twist? Was there like a... I feel like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Christian and Edge. they had a good one in there. Yeah, so those were ones I always found dynamic because I liked how the match would be and how they would build up to that finishing move.
Tag team wrestling has really gotten a lot better, man.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it a lot more.
You see, and that's what I said. I always enjoyed a good tag team that was really playing out their moves well. But once again, Vince is not a tag team person.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like tag teams, so he'll have them together for a short time and break them up, where other leagues would keep them together and let them do their full run. So, when you saw a tag team in WWE, it's like, okay, it's be short-lived. If you get a long-running one, they're going to split them up, maybe get them back together. And a good tag team can sell it so well. Even when, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers. Them as a tag team, when you watch their tag team matches, phenomenal. Phenomenal. They would go back to their hotel rooms and they would have dolls. And they would use the dolls to practice out, saying, okay, I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to land. You should be over here, and this is how you do it. And they would map out their moves in the hotel, before the drinking and the partying started to happen. And that's how come they were so good in the ring that they would leave the ring, go back to their rooms.
Yeah, even if we don't have one, we're still going to practice.
Exactly. And literally pulling out dolls to say, this is how you land, this is how you do it. Is this move possible? Is that move possible? And just using dolls to put that together showed you the frame of mind of why it brought them up to the level they did. So the Rockers, the Freebirds, so I'm going more old school. They were a great tag team. And I'm glad to see the tag team divisions are really getting a lot more love. Them and the women's divisions.
Yeah.
The women's division, I'll say this. Saraya came back. She used to be Paige. Now she's Saraya in AEW.
Yep.
I never seen a women's lumberjack match before. And she's like, no, we're doing a lumberjack match. Now, I know all the women were happy to do a lumberjack match because they never got a chance to do one. Mm-hmm. They see the guys do it. They go like, we can do it. And they went out there and it was a really good lumberjack match. Like using female wrestlers as female wrestlers instead of, divas and panties and bras, right? Bras and panties. So, yeah. But I'm always going to go, that's my top 5. I don't know the finishers, but I know
that's
those
cool. The teams, I get it.
I got the team, so yeah. And, my team first and foremost will always be the New Age Outlaws, as I said. So.
Oh man, I don't know. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Favorite tag team of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Me
I
personally,
feel like I might have even done it on the podcast, but there's so many. Like sometimes when I come up with these lists, man,
right.
It's real hard for me.
Yeah.
And this finishers one was actually one of the harder ones because I was again, don't know most of the names to the moves.
No.
So I was just Googling.
Absolutely.
And some teams have 3 finishers, and it's okay, well,
which one is which?
What one am I looking for? Yeah.
Right.
But all right, let's move on to comedians.
Right.
You want to do that?
Sure.
All right, I'll go first because I've done mine a bunch of times on here.
Sure.
So Rogan's my number 1.
Okay.
Then I'm going Chappelle.
Yeah.
I'm going more of a local dude, but not really because he's expanded. But Mark Forward. Mm-hmm. Originally from Oakville and does a lot of Canadian work.
Right.
And then I'm going Carlin, who was essentially my introduction to comedy, and it was just it was captivating because I knew him as the conductor from Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yes.
So that's how, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
What exactly?
And so it was it was kind of like Bob Saget, but even harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The 7 words you can't say on television. Yep.
And then I'm going Bill Burr.
Oh, great list.
Yeah. What about you?
For myself, okay, so first and foremost, everyone's going to probably go to the obvious, but Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
Bernie Mac is my number 1 for multiple reasons. I like how he is on stage. I like how he was off stage. But Bernie Mac really stands out to me as a comedian. I will say Kevin Hart. Now, some people might say, well, Kevin Hart might not be on the list, but I look at comedy as what you do on stage and what you do off stage. And Kevin Hart on stage, he's been there, he's opened his heart up literally and talks about a lot of tough situations on there.
I love Kevin Hart, man.
And he puts it out there. But then his business mindset for what he's done outside of comedy, he really shows you how to build a brand. So Bernie Mac, Kevin Hart, Bill Engvall.
Oh, he's good, dude.
Yeah.
He's it's so strange too because of the what's his crew called?
Blue Collar Comedy.
Thank you. Yeah, because he's very. It's him and Ron White really stand out. Like, they almost shouldn't be part of that crew.
Right.
But, yeah, he's good.
He's really good. His storytelling, if you watch what he goes up with, I think there's the Snowbirds or Blue Angels, whatever, he has that whole joke about that. Oh, my God. His storytelling, point on no matter what. So, those are the guys I like. And then, of course, who's another comedian I like? Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah.
Fluffy.
Yeah.
I like him a lot too. And I mean, his special that he did in Hawaii really spoke a lot to me. And I love how he does that, you know? The storytelling, the voices, just how he presents on stage. And he's really engaging. And then, you know, who you have on your list is Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Bill Burr. There's a video out there. And if people have seen it, great. If you don't, watch it. Bill Burr in Philadelphia. Bill Burr gets on stage. The crowd in Philadelphia has just turned on every comedian, booed every comedian, and Bill Burr gets out there and he does like a 14-minute rant just trash talking Philadelphia, and they eat it up. They eat it up. He walked out of there fearless.
Yeah.
You know, no fear. And that's why also with Bernie Mac, same thing. Bernie Mac did the Def Comedy Jam. He went out there that was being hosted by Martin Lawrence, and what you don't see is a lot of comedians that went out before him bombed.
Oh, I actually know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Martin Lawrence said, okay, your next comedian, Bernie Mac. And he walked back and he gave them
But he like leaned into it hard because like something happened, I think, and he addressed it right at the beginning.
Yeah. Even Martin Lawrence couldn't get the crowd back.
Yeah, man.
And he was like, okay, next comedian, you know, Bernie Mac. He walked up, good luck, bro. And he's like, fine. And he had a set. And he threw his set out and penciled a new set just before it. And it might not be that funny, but it was so engaging. And he walked out there and he's like, let me tell you something. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And DJ, you know, Kid Capri hit the music and he's like, hit the music. And that's all it was the whole act was, I'm not scared of you motherfuckers. And he just went hard on them. And the crowd lost their minds. And he, not only, the host couldn't get it back, he got the crowd back. And that is up to now his most popular maybe clip that people look up on Bernie Mac for his comedy. And to the point where I watched an interview with his daughter and his wife, and his daughter's like, I don't get why it was so funny. But every person that watched it is like, yo, that was the bomb!
Yeah.
And he came out there so over the top, so animated, so in your face. He's not mumbling words, but he had his own way of spinning how he pronounced words that made it, you know, so I scare you motherfuckers. And he just went, and all of them. I was like, blessed. That was it. So
it was so good.
Yeah, that's my top 5 right there that I look for, how they are on stage, off stage, you know, how they do their deliveries. And I'm more of a storytelling comedian. So that really speaks a lot to me with that. So yeah, that's my top 5.
All right, dig it, man. Now, we can do Limp Bizkit albums. We're originally going to do songs. You can take it whatever way you want to take it. I feel like I might even just do like a song, my favorite song from each album.
Sure.
And then you can just do whatever, man.
Okay, cool.
So, Significant Other.
Right.
And Nookie is probably my favorite off that. Like, to this day.
Yes.
To this day, it's still one of the songs. I come out to, like, I'm doing a show tonight. And I always, on Lafiteria, I always come out to Nookie.
Yes!
And, like, to this day, it's, like, still one of my favorite hype songs. Like,
yes!
There's very few songs that, like, have the longevity and power that Nookie holds for some reason. I don't know.
Agreed.
And then with Chocolate Starfish, which actually I was listening to, I was like doing some fucking running around yesterday, going to Staples and whatever.
Yeah.
And like I had a bunch of shit, but instead of listening to like I listened to all the stuff like It'll Be Okay. Like there's so many good songs on that album, man. So yeah, that I would say maybe off that one would be my favorite. I don't know. Maybe Boiler. Maybe Boiler off Chocolate Starfish.
Boiler's good, yeah.
Then I'm going Unquestionable Truth. The Truth. That's probably my favorite Limp Bizkit song. And it's weird because it's the album I feel like people don't know a lot of.
Right.
There's only like 6 or 7 songs on it. Then I'm going $3 Bill, y'all.
Yes.
And probably Counterfeit would be my favorite off that. Although I like... most of these albums, I like every song. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's hard to pick it, man. It's hard to narrow it down.
And then Results May Vary.
Mm-hmm. Right,
and that
right.
one was like, I remember when I like first getting that record, and off that probably Creamer would be my favorite off that. And like it was just at a time where I was like going through like some relationship shit. I just started living out on my own, and so like I have all these like attachments to like problems that were going on in my life to like songs off that album. So their new one though, you said you hadn't heard it yet. It's called Still Sucks. And it's like a shorter album, and like a lot of the songs are shorter. Like it's not like, you know, verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus. Like it's not like that. Like they're just like, my buddy describes it as a meme album. I wouldn't take it that far, but that's what Dad Vibes is on.
Okay. Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, but it's pretty good, man. And they're like, to be honest, there's a lot of songs on there that don't sound like anything Limp Bizkit has done before, and I like that.
They're being they're expanding. They're being experimental with their sound, and that's, you know, you got to appreciate a band where they can be that fearless, right? Yeah, for sure. Like you said, you see Nookie. That's when I heard it, and you know, the first time I'm like, what? So yeah, Nookie, definitely that's my jam. Break Stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's the, when I'm in a bad mood, man, or you know, and I'm in that frame of mind. Break Stuff is my go-to, but it's also my hype song. That really gets my blood flowing. You know, and then of course I'm probably going at the top, so like Rolling. I like Rolling on there.
Great song, yeah.
Right? But Break Stuff, I mean, so I'll say Break Stuff is my number one. Nookie would be number two. Rolling's number three.
All right.
And then there's a song, I think it's Red Light with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Yo, and the remix on that.
Yeah.
That's where I listen to constantly. And let me see, one other one. Oh shoot. I got sidetracked with Break Stuff. That's the one that gets me excited. I got my top four. Sorry, I know
they got another good one with Exhibit. Have you heard that one? Get Your Groove On. Have you ever heard that one? That's a good one.
Yes. Thank you.
It's a really good one.
That's the one I had to kind of recall.
I like all the stuff they did with the rappers. Like they had one with Method Man as well. I feel like they did a bunch. They did a bunch.
Yeah.
But
you know, the Method Man one, top for sure. I put that above the Exhibit song for sure. Them and Method Man, but Break Stuff, that's my jam. Like,
all right.
Even back in the day, I would come on the stage to either at times Break Stuff or Kid Rock. Bow what?
Oh yeah,
that was a perfect intro. You get a couple of seconds into that when the music starts off, and it's like, my name is Kid. I'm like, okay, so yeah, those are my headbangers. I want to see them in concert. I'd never seen Limp Bizkit in concert.
Oh no!
Oh
bro, if they ever come, I've seen them a few times.
Right.
If they last time I saw them, fucking went to Quebec, cause like they just haven't been in Ontario in like a long time.
Right.
So, man.
They come down. Let's go road trip.
Well, we'll make it happen. Dude.
Okay.
They're amazing. They're
Done
amazing,
deal,
man.
Done deal.
All right, let's end with superheroes.
Woo!
Ooh, I'm gonna go first again, just because I'm gonna go through mine a little quicker. Because this one I literally do on every, because I'm a little bit of a comic book nerd. So like superheroes is always, I get it. I felt like, you know,
the Economist podcast. Yeah.
But okay, so Batman number one for sure. Then I'm going. This is kind of cheating, and I get it. And I say this every time I say it, but Ninja Turtles. I can't separate them. I group them in one, so they're number two.
Got it, okay.
Then I'm going Red Hood.
Yeah.
Arsenal. Oh. I have this thing with, like, human superheroes. Like, where I not that I don't like Superman and, like, Spider-Man. I fucking love them. But, like, there's something I find more, especially reading, there's something I find more interesting about, like, the humans that are, like, risking their lives doing this shit, you know, when like Superman isn't really, you know?
Yeah, I got you.
So yeah, Arsenal, and then I'm going Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So first and foremost, mine would be Nova, Richard Rider Nova.
Hey.
Yeah, we're talking like the original run, not the newer one. I liked his original costume, and it could have gone so many different ways. So looking forward to hopefully him coming in the MCU.
I think it's happening though.
Yeah, it's getting there. Just as for you have the Turtles as a group. My second one would be the Starjammers.
Starjammers.
Yeah, man, by Marvel. So the Starjammers it's Christopher Summer. So he's the father of Cyclops and Havoc.
Wow, I don't know Starjammers.
So there's space pirates. That's all it
Okay,
is.
all
So
right.
long story short is when Scott and his brother were on the plane and the plane caught on fire and they jumped out there with a parachute, it didn't really catch on fire. It was an alien spaceship from the doing a, I guess they were looking at Earth from the Shi'ar galaxy. So they hit the plane because they thought they got seen, and they teleported their dad and their mom up on the spaceship. So his parents go off in outer space. The mom ends up dying. The father gets pissed off by the Emperor, the Ken, who was responsible for killing off his mom and killing off his wife and raping her. So he starts a rebel thing there. He escapes from it's almost like a Star Wars thing. He escapes from the dungeon. He frees some other aliens. They form together this group of space pirates. They get a spaceship and they call themselves the Starjammers.
What?
Yeah.
I gotta look into this.
Yeah, the Starjammers. So that's that.
All right.
Yeah, and he's just a normal guy out there. So before Star-Lord, how he's doing now, it was the Starjammers.
Word.
So Nova, Starjammers. I would definitely say Batman for sure. Then there's another hero I like a lot, which is called, oh my god, Backlash from Image Comics. So lesser known. If you know Image Comics, we're talking,
I know a bit.
Right.
I do Supreme and Spawn and some like spin-offs of Spawn and shit.
Okay, so if you know Supreme, they might have mentioned another team in there called, what's the team called? They had a guy named Battalion on there. But Backlash was a trainer of this team. I can see them, and I can't remember the name right now. But he was a trainer for the team, and then he had his own individual comic. So he's like half human, half alien from a long-lived race. And then he's got like these it's like, tendrils, that come out, these whips that come out of his hands with all psychotic energy, right? Psychic energy. And he's got like speed, strength. He's almost like a mix between Wolverine and Omega Red to a certain degree. But he's long lived and he's friggin' sick. He trains the superheroes that are going out there in the world to fight evil. So he's on that list. And then if I had to write that list up of who do I read a lot of he's not, and it's not even a superhero per se. It's more of a manga hero. It's called the Bio Booster Armor Guyver.
Okay.
Right. So picture is like Spider-Man with power armor.
All right, man. Well, we can end on one of these. You grab one.
Sure.
I'll grab one.
All right. You want me to grab one also?
Yeah, do it up.
All right, then. All right. I'm gonna go. This looks good. Okay.
Okay. Wow, this is one that's gonna. Okay. All right.
All right, then.
Do you want to go first?
Sure, man.
All right, do it up.
So I got two questions here. So okay, how do you feel about being optimistic versus being realistic?
Oh shit! I'm generally. I don't wanna. I would say I lean more towards like just realistic and trying to just assess my goals on like just in a real way. I just try I feel like I don't want to say I'm definitely not a negative person, but I definitely wouldn't always say I'm optimistic, even though that might sound bad.
Right.
I feel like my girlfriend's definitely pessimistic, and so I'm probably more optimistic. Just yin yang kind of deal.
Right.
With our relationship, but I never really have considered. I've always considered myself more of a realist. Like I just want to, even with like just like dealing with people too. It's just like I've always felt like the honest, real approach is better. At least you know what I'm giving you and who I am, and at the end of the day, you can walk away knowing that that's like. As that. You don't have to question that. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
You might not like how I feel about certain things, but like you're gonna get me for real.
Yeah, gotcha.
I feel like that might have answered. What about you?
I think I'm going to be more optimistic. I mean, I'm realistic, and Jesse said, I'm realistic, I'm grounded, but I have my dreams, and I'm always looking to see the best in people, the best in situations, but I'm real about the outcome can be. So, especially doing what I want to do, I'm very positive that it's going to go to different levels and keep on growing and all that. How fast that's going to happen, I don't know, but I'm real in the same time that, hey, I got a day job, right? So
yeah.
I'm grounded, but I'm more optimistic, but I'm grounded. I'll say that. That's for sure.
I'm definitely becoming more optimistic. As time goes on, I can see it, especially compared to, early 20s me.
Right.
All right, so when have you been particularly grateful to have access to modern healthcare?
Ooh,
That's a deep one.
that is a very deep one. You know what? I'll say a couple of years ago. So my wife had a blood clot, right? And she had like a, and thank God. So that's all I got to say about that one. I'm very happy. I mean, before I would probably take it for granted. You go to a hospital, you walk out, okay, fine. I mean,
I was there for 2 hours. Fuck this place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way: in Canada, we don't have to pay for that in the sense of upfront. I mean, I know, yes, taxes or whatever. I'm not getting into that. Mm-hmm. But you walk into the hospital, you show your card, everything gets taken care of. You walk out, there's no real bill at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So I was really grateful for that because my wife had a blood clot, and we didn't know it was a blood clot. She just was having some major pain in her lung. We went into the hospital, and even though it might have seemed kind of long, they kept her in there for about a better part of a week. They did the x-rays and they found that in the back of her lung, and it was kind of lodged. So if it would have moved, it would have gone to her heart, and she might not have been here today. So with the advances that we've had in healthcare, I get the long wait times. I know with everything going on, very happy that we did, and we weren't, maybe how technology was, 50 years ago, so to speak, or in a place that doesn't have access to healthcare as much as we do here in North America.
Right.
Right. That there makes the difference. So very grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, mine is just right now, like that my girlfriend's pregnant and she was raised in United Arab Emirates and stuff, and it seems like she's very thankful that she's not having a kid over there, especially being that, like, I'm white and she's brown. But this is kind of like trailing off a little bit. I just feel like right now, like, definitely am happy that I have the access to all the things I need and more, to be honest. Like I said, like earlier, did the ultrasound. This one wasn't even like a government funded one. This was just like a company that does this kind of thing.
Right.
And I just think like, it's just nice. It's nice. Like, obviously we don't need to know the gender, but we wanted to. Right. And we could. And that's fucking nice.
Of course.
So, yeah, I'm definitely grateful right now for it.
Enjoy the moment, man. Congrats again.
Thanks again, man. I don't know.
You got this.
I'm worried, but I'm excited. So.
Look, for everything you do in life, this is going to be, people say it's going to be tough, but it's so rewarding. You're going to love it. Trust me. All
right, what you got?
All right, then. My next one is, do you hold grudges? And if so, is it useful or destructive?
Generally, holding grudges is I would say destructive. It's not good. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like some people I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like I don't think everyone deserves forgiveness. Nope. I think some people do some things and it's like sorry, what was the question again? I want to make sure I answer this properly.
No problem. Do you hold grudges? And if so, is it useful or destructive? So do you hold a grudge, and do you find it useful to hold a grudge, or do you find it destructive to hold a grudge?
Yeah, so this is where I was going. So, like, I was raised in foster homes and stuff like that, right? And, like, I have one younger brother and two younger sisters, and at different points of their lives, they were also in children's aid and stuff like that. And so, I don't know, a while, when I was in college, I ended up, like, I was in a mind state where I was kind of curious about my mom a little bit, and so I hit her up and just, like, messaged her on Facebook. I was like, hey, it's your son. I'm going to college. I'm doing good things with my life now. Mm-hmm. And she, like, messaged me back and just kind of was, like, really mean, blaming me for a bunch of problems in her life. Still, dude, Okay, so, I did some creeping around that time, was looking into what she was into, and, like, she had problems from, like, don't get me wrong, she had me when she was 16. I'm sure she had problems of her own, but at this point, it's like, we're, like, 25 years removed from that, and you're still blaming me for things, and I'm looking how she's living and where I'm at, and, like, I think that the grudge that I held against, and currently, well, I don't know if I would call it a grudge. I want to say I've let it go. My girlfriend would probably tell you differently.
Right.
But, like, I feel like I am way better off now. Like, if we had this multiverse thing, right, and I went to a universe where I didn't hold a grudge, and I went back and I was still in her life, like, I wouldn't be a comedian. I wouldn't have gone to college. I wouldn't have done all these things.
Right.
So I do think, like, good things can come of holding grudges, but also, like, you should try to let them go as much as you can. Like, I don't hate all my ex-girlfriends. There's, like, maybe, like, 2 that I wouldn't talk to, you know?
Right.
I don't hold grudges, but at the same time, don't forgive everybody. Everybody doesn't forgive, or doesn't need forgiveness. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
And even for myself, so do I hold grudges? I wouldn't call it so much as a grudge, because, I'm not, I'm more of kind of, okay, one and done in that sense of, all right, we're good, we're moving on, case closed. Do I use it to fuel me in certain things? Depending on what it is. Yes. So I find it useful. It keeps me going. Not to say that everything I'm trying to do is fueled by a grudge, but I'll say this example. If you go out there and you do a show, and I've had this happen to me, where I've done a show and I know it's like, hey man, I had a good show and a good set. The crowd liked it. I feel good about what I just did. And then you might have another comedian. I had a comedian come up to me and he goes, oh yeah, man, yeah, that was cool. And I was like, hey, yeah, thanks, man. I'd like to work with you maybe in the future. It's always about networking and trying to expand yourself, get on different stages and all that. And the comedian looked me right in the face and goes, oh, Barry, you're going to be nothing more than an open micer.
Jeez.
Oh, okay then. So obviously, did I have a grudge about that person at that moment? Yeah. Would I reach out to them to work with them in the future? No. Did I come to a point where I said, okay, well, you know what? If that's how you see me, I'm going to make sure I work harder. That the next time we meet, people are going to say, oh, yeah, well, he's headlining. And you're headlining too, so you're both headlining comedians? And I can say yes. Even if he might see me as an open micer, everyone else is going to tell him otherwise.
What's up? Yeah.
And that's good enough for me. I don't need... So I use that as motivation to push me forward. So
I like that.
I don't sit there and try to plot evil shit against anybody.
No, yeah.
Right? And,
right.
Or hope stuff. But it's like, oh, that's how you see me? Okay, it's on. And that's exactly what I use. So to me, I find it useful. You push me down a little bit, that's how you see me. And it's not like I need validation in that person's eyes, but I'm going to work harder that when they come around, it's like, hey, Barry, man, you're headlining, eh? Yeah. Do you need... Nope, don't need any tips from you. I'm good. I know you only saw me as an open micer. Well, what... No. Don't need to backtrack on that. We good?
Yeah.
I'm going my way, you go your way, you do your spot, I'm going to do my spot, and we go about our separate ways. We good? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And leave it at that. That's it. So to me, I take that as more useful.
I definitely do that too. Right on.
Right? It's the way to be, man.
All right, dude. Last one.
Yep.
These ones so serious. These ones. Should children be protected or allowed to explore and learn on their own? I'm gonna let you answer this one. Because I have some things I need to learn. Man.
Right.
So give me your point of view here.
So should children be protected? I say this with moderation. Don't be the helicopter parent. I mean, there's a lot of times you're going to tell your kid, don't do this because you've gone through it. But at times they need to experience it themselves. And sometimes is that maybe, them doing something wrong. It's going to work out wrong for them. Sure. And it's little life lessons because as people, we never fully listen to our parents. Even though our parents have gone down the exact same thing, the first thing you say is, you don't understand. It's different now than in your era. No, dealing with bullies is dealing with bullies. You can step into a certain degree, you can give that advice, and you can watch that play out. You can see when they're about to make a bad decision, you can give that advice, and the most you can do is don't be the overprotective helicopter parent because at one point we're not going to be here.
Yeah.
And they have to fend for themselves. So all you got to do is instill those lessons and let them be independent, knowing you've guided them a certain way. But that being said, let them have a little bit of a bad moment and catch them falling at the very beginning to make that and cushion that landing so it's not that bad of a situation going down. If you tell your child, hey, don't push that, you're going to break it. Don't push that, you're going to break it. Don't push that, you're going to break it. You could stop them. If they break it, you can tell them what the consequence is going to be. Don't hold back on the consequence. Let them know. And then you sit down after. It's like, did I not tell you 3 times not to do that? Yeah. Did you listen? No. Did you get in trouble? Yeah. What did you learn? And I'm going to speak to those parents that have those kids that are 6 to 7 years old and still pushing them in a stroller and their feet are dragging on the ground. If you have your child and their feet can drag on the ground when you're pushing a stroller, you're being overprotective. Let them walk.
I feel you, man. And you know what? as you're saying that, I feel like even though I'm not a parent, there's things that I learned as a kid. I feel okay. Obviously, I feel like doing things and like is the best way to learn, regardless of whether you succeed or whether you fail. Like doing that.
Yes.
And like something that when you were describing like your thing that stuck out in my mind was that when I was maybe like 5 or 6. I was fucking around with my Nana's keys, right? Mm-hmm. And around like an electrical outlet.
Ooh,
She's like, don't do that. And I was like, why? She's like, don't do that. And I kept doing it. She's like, all right, do that. And I did it. And then I never did it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, she kept telling me, and I was like, but why? And once you do it and you learn, it's hard because like you don't want them to fall, but it's like, oh, it's like it's kind of the best way to learn.
Yeah.
So
you gotta fall sometimes.
Definitely.
You gotta fall sometimes before you fly, man.
It's definitely gonna be a balancing act. I'm. You know what, man? I feel like I've never been more ready than I am right now. So.
Right.
You know.
I know, like at first when they start taking their first steps, you want to be there. You want to put like pillows all over the house so when they fall, and that's okay. That's normal. But other times where it's like, Mom, Dad, yeah, I want to do gymnastics. Okay, because doing the flips and all that, one wrong turn, they might hurt themselves. Mm-hmm. But you gotta let them test their boundaries too at the same time, so they know what they're capable of. And if you're kind of a helicopter parent, they never know what they can do on their own, and they'll surprise you, and they'll surprise themselves. That builds confidence and all that. But at times, trust me, there's times where like simple stupid stuff. Teach my daughter to ride a bike. I'm, clearly every parent running behind her, and it's like, okay, let go. It's like, okay, I'm letting go, and you're like, she's doing it. God, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. Right. And she starts to teeter. So what do you do as a parent? You just keep running behind them. So if they start to kind of go over, you're grabbing them.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying to let them fall, but don't want to have that kind of mentality throughout their whole lives. You want to stop them from hurting themselves too seriously. But at times they'll surprise you because you might stop running, let go. And they're going to ride that bike perfectly and go, oh, well, they didn't really need me to be that protective at this moment. So kind of pick and choose your moments, and see how it is.
I feel like it's like they're like learning moments for both the child and the parent, Exactly.
There's no book. Parents, you grow with the child, and every child is different. So your child is going to learn differently. You're going to learn differently. Mm-hmm. So some people say, you're going to let your child do that? Yeah, don't worry about it. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the bottom line I can say. Don't let anyone tell you how to be a parent. You be a parent, your girlfriend be a parent. Don't let anyone else tell you how to parent your child. Mm-hmm. You parent your child and that's it. Because a lot of people talk a lot of stuff, what you should do, but they don't even do it themselves. So, do you.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being here, brother.
Let
you. These people know where to get at you, where to check out your podcast.
For sure. You guys can find anything and everything I do at barry3d.com. That's my website. It's got the links to everything. So it's got links to what I do here, the Iconist podcast, which is on YouTube, and wherever you get your streaming, your podcast from. So we're there. Every week we put out new episodes. And then also we do, I do a Touch of Gray Matter. So that's myself, Dave Sokolowski, and Zolf Ali. So you can find that out through our website also. And then live shows. So everything, just go to barry3d.com. I'm all over social media. Follow whatever link you want, be it Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook page, whatever makes you happy. And you'll see me there. And yes, December 8th, I know I have a show. So November 19th, I'm out in Pelham, right? At the community center with a lot of great comedians. So as David Green, Fiona O'Brien, Scott Falconbridge is going to be there. So I'm on that show. And December 8th, Touch of Grey Comedy will be at Stonewalls in Hamilton. So $10, come in, doors open at 8 o'clock. Come on out, it's a Thursday night, support, we're going to have a good time. And I said, everything else will be on my website. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Like always, guys, this podcast is brought to you by Neon Light District. Hit them up. Use code PillowTalk to save 10%. And by The Great North Apparel. Hit them up. Use code PillowTalk to save 30%. See you in 2 weeks. Peace the fuck out.